Hey guys, it's Ryan Holman back with another screenshot video. Really excited to go through this. I'm going to talk about what it looks like to recruit a sales leader on the open market. And if you're anything like our clients, the majority of them, they want leadership right now. And for the ones that don't care about leadership right now because they have that role filled, when they get to a certain point, they're like, hey, once we grow this amount, we're going to want additional leadership. So most companies, especially companies building a commission-based sales force, there's going to be growth opportunity. And if not leadership opportunities today, there's going to be leadership opportunities available in the future. And so this process is going to be good for either one of you. Okay. So we'll read through this real quick. This is a weekly screenshot video. Good morning, Ryan. Second round went equally as good, if not better. 2 potential sales leaders, managers, 2 soldiers out of 9 candidates. Okay. So 4 candidates that they liked that they wanted to sign out of 9 people that showed up into the group interview. If you're not familiar with our recruiting process, there's ads in the markets that we're hiring in. If it's remote, you have a decentralized organization, then there's remote ads and you're bringing in candidates, doesn't matter the geography. In this case, they were local. This is a localized outside sales force. And there was about probably 20, maybe 23 people scheduled into the group interview. I'm making that assumption based on 9 candidates showing up to the group interview because it's usually around a 40% show up rate. And then out of this group, 5 people were not a fit and or not interested, but 4 out of the 9, right, which is roughly 40-ish, 5%, 45%-ish, were interested in the opportunity. What's really cool about the process is, instead of those 20 to 23-ish candidates or whatever, going to the phone interview process for 15 minutes and the leader or the recruiter or whoever having to kind of pitch and sell the commission-based sales opportunity to 20, 21, 23 people, which is a full-time job in itself. Instead of doing that, what we like to do is we like to push those candidates that seem worth talking to into a group interview and just communicate exactly what the opportunity is. Pitch the dream, sell the opportunity, the culture, the industry, the company story, the plans for growth in the future, the sales model, the income potential, the advancement. All of that typical recruiting stuff gets done in the group interview, and you figure out who's interested in the opportunity or not, right? And so what's cool about that is it cuts out like 70 to 80% of the traditional recruiting time investment of advertisements, phone interviews, one-on-one interviews, a bunch of no-shows, which are a waste of time and kill your schedule and your valuable time. We cut all that stuff out and just pump people into group interviews, and the people that are highly interested in the opportunity, you funnel them into one-on-ones right after the group interview via Zoom or in a face-to-face environment, depending on your sales model and how you want to run your recruiting process, if you have an office or not. But in this case, we're talking about recruiting leadership. First off, from our perspective, you don't just take an outside candidate and place them into a leadership role unless you have a very high level kind of 80, 100, 120K salary management type of position where the commission opportunity, they can make $250,000 or something like that, right? If you have a high salary, then you're going to have a better chance at recruiting somebody on the open market because the nature of your compensation plan is going to attract the right person. There was a quote, I'm going to probably butcher it right now, but it's, you can either buy talent or you can build talent, right? So as an example, if I went to go look for, if I lost Sales Recruiting University today and we had to fire all 50 employees and I went to go look for an opportunity, I'm not going to look for a commission-based recruiter job or a sales job. I'm going to look for a sales leadership, most likely a director of recruiting role where I get 180K salary plus commissions and I can make a few 100K per year, right? I'm not looking for an all commission opportunity because my skill sets demand much more. And so the same thing exists when you're talking about sales talent and sales leadership. Now, our type of client, we, help commission-based opportunities. A lot of them are 1099. You have to self-generate and close your own deals. You can't make money for 30 to 60, 90 days. And then they're looking for commission-based sales leadership as well. And because of the nature of the opportunity, we have to look at the way that we recruit people a little bit more differently. And so what we like to do when we're thinking about sales leadership is, especially in a commission-based opportunity, and even for a salaried one, but especially in commission-based, you don't want to put your eggs in this basket with this one person because you're probably, most likely, 90% of the time, you're going to waste 6 months of your time and be starting at, kind of level 1 again with your team building process. And so what we like to do is we like to take proven reps within the organization and advance them. Okay, at a high level, what that can look like is they show up for a minimum of 3 months and produce that quota or more, ideally at a top 20% level. If you don't have a big team and you can't compare that top 10 to 20% level, then you got to compare it to the rest of the industry. So they just show up as a sales rep first, and you see how they work, how they show up, if they align with the company values, can they produce, and are they consistent? And then there's a few steps you can do from there to slowly transition them into the sales leadership role. Step 2 is like give them a small, kind of carrot. Do A, B, and C, and that's going to show that you want the leadership role. They do that well without the compensation, without the title, that they really want it. And then you transition them into co-leadership, give them more responsibilities, maybe like 10 to 15 hours a week on top of selling. They're still selling. And if they accomplish and do that stuff really well over a couple months, then you can fully delegate them to the sales leadership role. And you've slowly taken a rep into sales leadership, and you have the right person because you've made them prove themselves into the role. And so for us, there's a lot of detail involved in that, but hopefully that makes sense and you get value out of that. For us, we think that's the best process because it ensures you put the right person in one of the most important roles within your business, the sales leadership position. Now, to come back to what they said, 2 potential sales leaders, okay? Not all clients do this, even if they're looking to hire leadership today, which is, I would say, 75% of the clients that we bring on. And the other 25%, they have leadership, but they're looking to, grow, and eventually they'll need more leadership. But in this case, and this is totally preference-based, most clients don't do this unless they request it, okay? But our recruiting process is advertisements, screening and scheduling, group interviews, and final interviews. From an advertisement perspective, we're typically advertising towards the sales roles, whether there's 1, 2, or 3 positions. It's not unusual for our clients to have maybe like a setter role or a self-gen sales role and a closer role. All 3 of those, or maybe 1 of the 3 or 2 of the 3, right? Doesn't matter. Regardless, we're advertising to the opportunities that are available. Now, if you're looking to recruit leadership and you want to put sales management type advertisements out there, first off, you don't need to make it a big part of your budget because sales manager, that title brings in high volumes of leads. It's a highly applied to opportunity. And therefore, you're going to get plenty of people through the process. Okay. And what we like to do is we like to call it a sales manager training advertisement and also make it really specific to the opportunity. So as an example, if it was, a financial services opportunity or an insurance opportunity, hypothetically, it doesn't matter. Maybe I'd call it licensed or insurance sales manager training, right? And I'd have that training. And then the steps to advance within the organization would be laid at the top of the job description. So they see that first, and they're getting pre-framed in the recruiting process, which means we're setting the right expectations from the beginning for these sales manager candidates. So they're not so much of a pain in the butt in the recruiting process. And what I mean by that is most sales manager candidates, they're looking for a salary, a comfy role. They're most likely not going to be a fit, but you can utilize advertisements to increase the volume of candidate leads and the quality of candidates through your recruiting process, although a lot of people coming from those ads are not a perfect fit, okay? But what you do is you do the exact same thing that you do with the sales reps, right? When you're in your group interview, when you're in your final interview, when you're in your management process, you have an objective path that everybody can prove themselves into to advance into sales leadership. And so regardless if you want to do the sales manager training ads or not, it doesn't matter. It's the same process. But what you do is you lay out a really cookie cutter plan. You want to understand where you're going as an organization, what your organization chart's going to, look like, and then reverse engineer what the sales team's going to look like and plug in the leadership roles that are going to be necessary to build that org chart and get to those revenue goals. And then you want to have a clear path of advancing into each one of those roles. So everybody coming through the recruiting process and who's on the sales team today or who's getting retained knows exactly what it looks like to advance. And then all of a sudden, you're leveraging these sales manager trainee ads, which again is a total option. You don't have to do that to do this process to advance a rep into leadership, but you're just leveraging it to get more higher volumes of quality leads through the process. But from there, what you're doing is you're letting them know, here's the objective path. Nobody's going to get the leadership role today, but we're a growing organization. We need these 3 leadership roles filled over the next 6 months. And we have a cookie cutter objective path on what it looks like to advance. And then you close them into the sales rep role and you let them kind of work towards it. Now, most of those sales manager candidates, they're not going to close into that manager role. But hypothetically, if you get an extra 2 to 3, 4 recruits from it, and the advertisement budget on those ads weren't high because the lead cost is so low because everybody wants a sales leadership job, then it was worth it. Although you're screening through a lot on the front end to get to those sales manager candidate leads that are worth closing. And again, if you're doing the group interview process, it doesn't matter because you're doing a basic assumption on their background and only inviting the people that are worth pitching in the group interview. in the group interview for the sales manager candidates, they know what it looks like to advance into the role, how everybody's starting in a sales position, and therefore at the end of the group interview, they're either interested in really the sales role and starting there or not. And so this is what that company did. They had sales representative advertisements. We had roofing. This is a roofing company, roofing sales manager trainee advertisements, and they would convert people into the sales role with an objective path to advance. And again, you don't have to have the sales leadership advertisements if you want to do that. The same thing applies. So hopefully that made sense. What we talked about today is some strategies around recruiting, really advancing people into sales leadership, and then also recapped on the Sales Recruiting University recruiting model. And hopefully you got value. If you did, drop a like, subscribe, drop a comment, and we'll look forward to next week's video. Thanks.